everybody. Welcome to the Costa Mesa Pettis Perspective, Episode 6. Thanks for watching. Hey, listen, before I forget, if you guys like these videos, it would be helpful if you subscribe to my YouTube channel and like the video. Not trying to get monetized or anything like that, but that would be a helpful thing so we can help keep track of all these things. And I would appreciate that very much. So today, we're going to go through our normal. We had the February 2, last Tuesday, Costa Mesa Council meeting. And it ran about 3.5 hours this time, so about mid-range in length. What I wanted to do first was and this is against my better judgment, I'm going to do it anyway. There's this leftist blogger named Jeff West who has watched every minute of every video of mine since I started Costa Mesa Pettis Perspective. I'm not sure if he was watching prior when I was doing the campaign for council, but I wanted to bring it up only because what he was doing, he was critiquing, which I have no problem with all that, but he was kind of going through line by line and telling, he was throwing things out like pathetic and gibberish, saying I don't know, but then he several times said if you're gonna do it, make sure you do it accurately. So I think he referenced like the latest one. I think when I was talking about not knowing where the senior center was, when I was announcing that they're doing COVID testing there, I said I didn't know where it was. I hadn't actually seen it. And he said, well, somebody from the running for council should know that. And for the record, I still haven't seen it. But if that is what we're talking about in terms of accuracy, let me tell you how it goes. And this is for the reason I bring him up is that I want to make sure this point is clear to the people that are watching this video. So there's a twofold reason I'm doing this. The first and foremost, it's before I thought about running, when I would watch council meetings, go to council meetings, it's for the average person that isn't experienced in watching these things. There's a lot of good information sprinkled in through a lot of process, and there's some jargon used, voting, things like that aren't necessarily easy to follow for the average person. So my first and foremost reason is so I can listen to, imagine me being at work, I'm on the unit in my office, got my earbuds in, doing payroll maybe, and also listening to the council meeting, stopping it when I get interrupted and taking notes where things are important on the actual agenda. And that's how I do it. So over 2 days, usually, I'll be able to watch every minute of the council meeting and then make notes in the margins of the agenda on extra paper when I need to, and therefore then go straight out in one take. These are one take. There's no editing of the content here. I do it in one take. I don't stop and start. What I do is I say to the regular public what I learned in the council meeting and what the information that I feel is most important, to give it to the citizenry, and not to be a pristine editor and journalist. I'm not attempting to do that. This is more of a public service of mine because I continue to be involved with the city affairs going forward. That's my main driving focus, and also I promised the people that voted for me that I'd stay involved. So that's number one. So excuse me if there are small inaccuracies here and there. When I give my opinion, I say that, and when I'm just reporting, I say that too. Number two, by the end of this thing, when I run again in 2024 or something before that, if anything comes up, by the time I'm going through every minute of every meeting for 4 years, to me, I'm going to be an expert in process. I'm going to be an expert in how it works at the council meeting. So in the good fortune that you guys elect me to be in there, I will be able to hit the ground running, and I'll have a firm grasp on the process part of being a city council member, which to me, from what I see, people coming in and coming out of the meetings, that's probably the last thing to get good at. Nobody's good until they get in there. I think I'll have a pretty solid understanding going forward. So that's it. No more mention of that. And what I'm going to say is, first of all, the way they started the meeting off was normal call to order. Like I said, it was 3.5 hours long. Everybody was there. Councilperson Marr, Gameros, Harper, Harlan. I always forget the last one. And Foley. So it was the regular crowd, and they start off with public comments. On public comments this time, it wasn't, we didn't hear about Smart and Final this round. I was surprised because I'd say the last several meetings we've heard about that. What we did hear about It was mainly about the triangle square signage. There was three callers that called in expressing their dismay. They had learned, as I know, and some of you might know. If you don't, I'm going to tell you now. There is an emergency or secret or additional meeting on February 8th, Monday, regarding the triangle square signage, and they're going to be making some decisions about when those go up, if they go up, how they're going to go up. So we had the citizens calling in. The most of it was because they think it's a danger, blinking, flashing lights. I think there'll be 3 of them. There'll be a safety traffic hazard. That was the main concern. I had done a previous talk about this. I think some of the other concerns, I have more to say about that, the matines, the donations, those connections. But I'm not going to get into that here. I encourage you to go back in my YouTube roll and look at the video that's titled "How the Game is Played," and I go into that in pretty solid detail. So that was it on public comments. New business. They got into the commission appointments. So the good news is, and I think this is great, and I'm always heartened when I see this, 270 citizens applied for the various commissions and committees that were put up on the website, and they put out an offer for people to apply. So 270 people put in applications, regardless of party, whatever your thoughts. I think that's great. I will say that a lot of people get upset about who was appointed left and right, and there should have been this or that. You know what? To me, I'm of the mind that elections do have consequences. There's some caveats to that. But if you made it into city council, you're the mayor, you have the right to appoint whoever you want. So am I happy about the overall mix? No. But elections have consequences. So real quick, the commissions and committees that were up were Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission, Animal Services Committee, Bikeway and Walkway Committee, Cultural Arts Committee, Fairway Park Steering Committee, Finance and Pension Advisory Committee, or FIPAC, Historical Preservation Committee, Housing and Public Services Grants Committee, Mobile Home Park Advisory Committee, and finally the Traffic Impact Ad Hoc Committee. And there's 4 or 5 nominees each. Now that we have districts, each district got to nominate. Mayor Foley named a liaison. I'm not going to go into how many were put out to each committee. I am going to say one thing about the important one that I find, the Finance and Pension Advisory Committee. On this one, I am going to have a few things to say. Now, this is some editorializing on my part. This is my opinion, and take from it what you wish. This is an important committee, and leading up to the changing of the guard here, it was pretty solid. They had some experienced folks on there, economic experts that were doing a fairly good job. And on this particular occasion, Mayor Foley cleared the deck, and the only 2 that were left over from the old regime were a big Foley donor and John Stevens. And it just so happens that John Stevens was also he's also appointed to the planning committee. So the 2 of the most important committees, finance and pension and planning. To me, that he was unseated by Don Harper. He lost that election. Okay, we're gonna slide him in there, but it just feels a little yucky to me. That's all. Those are important things. I do believe that this particular important committee was. I wish it wasn't handled the way it was. There you have it, citizens of Costa Mesa. That's the information. Do with it what you like. Now, on the public hearing section, usually follows new business. What this was a first reading, meaning the council is going to put something out there. And it's the first reading of proposed code amendment, CO-2020-04. It's pertaining to accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs, also known as granny flats, and junior associate accessory dwelling units, also known as JDUs. So what they're doing is they're proposing, they're going to make some changes. This is how it was put out there to the public in the council meeting. They're making the changes to the code regarding ADUs and JDUs to be more in line with state law. Now, okay, that's good. I mean, they need to do that. Personally, I think state law I think that the voters should decide how we do local laws and ordinances. That's a voting issue. I don't believe that the state should be dictating down to the county city level how to zone their cities. That's one thing. But I think what they're doing here is you could also, instead of saying we're going to amend the code to be in compliance with the state, you could say what you're really doing is we're wanting to rezone the R1 and R2 neighborhoods. Rezoning is what they're doing. We've talked about this before. It can be called different things. This is how I perceive it. This is how I see it. They want to rezone R1s and R2s. That's important. The reason I'm making that specific is that's where I live, District 6, who's now Harlan's our council person for. But I care much about District 6 because I talked to a lot of people during the campaign and I live here, obviously. So what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to make the zoning rules and regulations more open, less restrictive. I think they should be more restrictive, and Don Harper actually felt the same way in his comments about this issue, because I don't want to get overcomplicated trying to explain why I feel that way. What I'm going to tell you is I believe that I really think the private property rights of existing people in the R1, R2 neighborhoods are important. I think keeping the character of the neighborhood's important. So why are they doing this? Really, I think this is, again, my opinion. So you had the regional housing needs assessment told us last year, the year before, that we need 11,733 new affordable housing units. And I did a little bit of research that the city of Costa Mesa can claim newly built ADUs, accessory dwelling units. This would be a granny flat. This would be a garage converted into a dwelling. There's a lot of rules that go into what constitutes a JDU or an ADU. But if it's a newly built ADU or JADU, then Costa Mesa can claim that as a number going toward the RENA number of 11,733 units. I do believe that this is a way to bring more affordable housing than the R1, R2 people would want to into our district. One way. I don't think that's the whole picture. There's a lot of nuance in here and all that. I just want the community to understand what's happening and why it's happening and what they're talking about. Again, this is the first reading of this proposed change in the ordinance. All that means is they're talking about it, agreeing on what they want it to look like. They're going to swing back around and have individual meetings, which they'll try and bring up by district, housing meeting districts coming up. So please get involved, for or against. Any involvement's better than no involvement. Please, and I will try to update everybody on how things proceed. It was voted on to, the vote was, it was 5-1, which was odd. I have not seen that happen yet. It was 5 yeas and Harper nay. So 5-1, and Foley had to abstain because she actually wasn't a part of any of this discussion. There's a conflict of interest. She's building an ADU in her house currently. So good to see Harper coming out with his voting principally, and I agree with that. So thank you, Don. And that is that on public hearings. Now I want to talk about transparency right now a little bit. And I don't want to get into, what I don't want to do is get into too much detail on this discussion, but this past Friday, which was 1/29, there was a 7-hour strategic planning meeting for the city of Costa Mesa held with our council on the topics. I mean, we're talking about things like they're going to be discussing achievements and weaknesses of 2019, how well we did in 2019, looking at going forward, housing, city staffing, some really, really big topics. And there was no Zoom call available, no Zoom link, no recorded YouTube like they always do for the council meetings, and no key documents available to the public. Now, the only way you could be a participant as a citizen would be to call in. Basically, you had to call in, you had audio only, and sat there and listened. And from what I'm told, most of the meeting was council people and people were there reading through documents, so it was silent. So it was really shut down to the public in a big way. And I'm not going to get into was it good or bad what they talked about. Am I for or against the things that were discussed? What I am against is lack of transparency. And that is something that we need more of. And we need, especially when we have a mayor who's wanting to be promoted in and out to be a county supervisor. And we need lots of transparency out of her right now. And that's going to lead me into it's a Liberty Alert. I think it is. It's going to be a Liberty Alert. So I'm still working on my game here, getting Liberty so she can be posted up for everybody to see. So this Liberty Alert, I'm going to call it a Liberty Warning this time, and it goes to our favorite city manager, Lori Ann Farrell Harrison. So what am I talking about? So on 1/26, sorry Liberty, you got to sit down. On January 26th, there was Ms. Harrison. She put forth a document saying she wanted included in the council meeting, which happened this past Tuesday, a discussion on the hero pay thing, which is money for, I believe it's $4 an hour that was to be paid directly to grocery workers for COVID hazard pay. And am I against grocery workers? No. Am I against going to the grocery store? No. Am I against giving people more money for hazard pay? No. But what I am against is picking winners and losers from a government level. And this would be saying, so the grocery workers get $4 an extra an hour. What about the medical supply device selling people at the medical device store? What about the CVS workers? What about Rite Aid? What about, you can go on and on. Why was it just the grocery workers, and why is the timing now? Well, I can tell you why I think, and again, this is some editorializing on my part, very much so, but it's election time, and Foley wants to be supervisor, and this would have been a goodie to what? This would have been a goodie to the United Food and Commercial Workers. So it's the local 324 UFCW. So the United Food and Commercial Workers Union are a massive donator to the Foley people. And if you don't believe me, look it up. So this would have been a major league handout to our sitting mayor, to a group of people, choosing them as the winners in an election year for her. Now, I call it a Liberty Warning because it was retracted by Ms. Harrison and not included in today's or this past Tuesday's council meeting. And that's great. I'm glad that was done because I don't think this is the right way to go about it. But I believe it was done for the optics. Somebody got into their ear and said, "Psst, I don't think that's a good idea." So they didn't do it. So that's better than doing it. But I just want there to be transparency. And I want there to be fairness. And I want our citizens, you, me, people that live in Costa Mesa, to understand what's happening. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why these videos go way too long now. And that's why I'm going to continue doing them until they pull me off the air or tell me to go away. Be kind to yourself. Be good to each other. Together we can get it done. Bye for now.